Hey Glenn, it's lovely to meet with you again. Thank you for bringing in Kevin today. We're very happy to be going over our proposal for Stryker Corporation to acquire Bioventus for 887 million. As you know, we are the powerhouse of M&A advisory, and I'm here with my team today to go over our proposal for you. I'll pass it on now to Kate, who's going to kick us off.
Hey Glenn, so good to see you again. Kevin, very excited to chat. So, as you know, Stryker's in such a strong competitive position for M&A. We looked at the industry and we think that Bioventus is really the best bet for you. It's because they're a good fit for the portfolio and they need rescuing. We'll get into a lot more detail about that. What we did to assess this was we looked at the target WACC, standalone valuation, et cetera. We then assess the synergies, and overall, we're finding that this is an accretive deal, and we have two different options for how you could proceed, but we're going to recommend that later on in the presentation. Let's continue. First, I want to talk a little bit more and play to Kevin's heart, especially. Stryker's core competencies, med-surg, neurotechnology, and then, of course, orthopedics. We think that the opportunity for Stryker is really to pursue the orthopedics category, which, Kevin, I know is near and dear to your heart. Continue. So on this slide, it's a big eye chart. And what I want to show here is specifically how Bioventus enables Stryker to own much more of the care continuum in orthopedics. On the left, you see a knee injury occurs, and on the right, we get all the way over to total knee recon. And recon currently accounts for 11% of Stryker's revenue. That's amazing. We know that there are key growth drivers with relation to osteoarthritis in the industry, and we see a rise in pickleball injuries. But as of right now, knee recon only covers about 22% of cases of osteoarthritis because those are the ones that are severe. We think that Bioventus enables you to access more patients by treating those palliative cases, so the other 78%. And we think that you can capture additional wallet share using the L360 thigh system on your recon cases. I'm now going to pass it off to Dahlia.
Thanks, Kate. Hi, I'm Dahlia Blowfield, and I will be presenting the strategic rationale for this acquisition. We pulled this slide from a recent Bioventus investor presentation to show what they're presenting to the public. The two key takeaways here are that they showed a strong revenue CAGR from 2016 to 2022, 11%, and that they are focused on reaccelerating revenue to improve leverage. But as you can see on this next slide, they continue to struggle to improve their leverage. This is reflected by their debt to equity ratio at a factor of 6.5x. We believe this is where Stryker can really help by reducing the leverage and enabling Bioventus to do what it does best, innovate. Bioventus's strengths are its brand recognition in orthopedics underlined by its strong clinical outcomes and prolific IP. There are opportunities to accelerate customer reach with an enhanced sales channel, and it is encouraging that they are in the process of submission with the FDA for Talisman. Bioventus's weaknesses stem from its poor M&A governance. The year-over-year losses due to goodwill impairment have led to a poor credit rating and high debt-to-equity ratio. Threats to Bioventus stem from the potential for new products to reduce demand of palliative OA therapies, shock absorbers like Moxymed, and pharmaceuticals like Ozempic. There is also a risk that geopolitical conflicts could disrupt supply, but these are mitigated by duplicate manufacturing sites. We also did a Porter's analysis. MedTech hurdles make it difficult for new entrants. Pricing is also influenced by reimbursement and value-added committees. This is no different than what Stryker experiences now, and the large combined portfolio of Stryker and Bioventus may improve tender agreements. Bioventus's IP is strong, but prescription drugs may cannibalize pain therapies. Finally, clinical studies show Bioventus products have superior outcomes, but wearable technologies may still prove a threat due to convenience. Overall, as a result of this analysis we have done, we believe Bioventus is a strategic fit for Stryker, and I will now pass it on to Kate to discuss her valuation analysis.
Thank you, Dahlia. So as you can see, using the industry figures here, we came to a conclusion that it's an 8.81% weighted average cost of capital. This looks at using 20-year corporate bond yield as well as the NASDAQ for our benchmarks. We used this then to do a free cash flow standalone valuation. What we did was we looked at the historical data to understand how the target was performing before. As you can see, there were some negative free cash flow in 2022, especially, and that was due to the deal and the loss of goodwill impairment. The projected income we see as 10% year-over-year growth as they continue to cut their R&D expenses and SG&A until they become cash positive. This gave us an overall view that their implied share price is about $4.78, which coincidentally was what their value was on the market not too long ago. We did a sensitivity analysis to make sure that this was a reasonable number. And so if you compare the terminal growth rates between 8% to 12%, and if you compare the WACC, again, I just did, plus or minus 20% of the original value, you find that the share price ranges between $3.79 and almost $6. I'm going to pass it off to Randall now to discuss further.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Glenn. Great presentation, Kate. We then wanted to get a market view of where we thought Bioventus stood in competition with its peers. We screened about 20 companies, and we came down to this list and assessing the various different operating statistics as well as capital position to come up with good parameters to perform the valuation. And the result of our market approach valuation concluded that the value of the equity for Bioventus on the low end was approximately $400 million and $600 million on the high end, which equates to a range of approximately $6.5 per share to $9.75 per share. We then wanted to assess the landscape of past deals of similar structure for potential acquisition of Bioventus. So we screened about 25 past deals to come up with this list, and we wanted to look at the operating metrics as well as some valuation multiples to get to a range of premium prices. So our precedent transaction was able to show that the implied equity value per share for Bioventus was around $6.8 per share to $12 per share on the high end. And as you can see from our many valuation techniques, we're seeing a consistent pattern in the low to high end range of the price per share for Bioventus. And here we did a football field chart just to give you a great visual of the summary of our valuation approaches. As you can see, the current share price, as Kate alluded to, is around $5 a share. And the average of those valuation techniques puts Bioventus's price per share at around $8 per share. And now we're going to go over our financing offers and recommendations, looking at combining the two companies to increase value for Stryker. We performed a combination analysis to look at, 30,000 feet high level, what the two companies will look like if they were combined. The key takeaway from our combination analysis is independent of any synergies based on EPS and how we recommend financing the deal is accretive. That implies that nothing is done to improve operating performance and leverage position of Bioventus to further increase value of Stryker, but we'll go over that in more detail in the upcoming slides.
Thank you, Randall. So we think the acquisition of Bioventus will create a number of synergies for Stryker. The two companies have complementary product portfolios that will be more attractive to consumers when offered together. For example, Stryker's implants can be used in conjunction with Bioventus's orthobiologics to provide a more complete solution for patients. In addition, Stryker's global sales and distribution network will help Bioventus reach new markets and customers. Finally, Stryker's R&D expertise will help Bioventus develop new and innovative products. For the synergy valuation, we have adjusted the WACC, as you can see here, in order to account for the added inherent risk of M&A. So what we did here was look at the synergies and basically determine how high we can go for the offer. The idea is that we assumed a net present value of 0 for the deal, and we got an implied share price ranging between $15 and $24. However, what we want to do is maximize value for Stryker shareholders, so we do not recommend paying this much. As such, we offer a recommendation for a price between $887 million and $938 million. The share price here is going to be between $8 and $8.84, which is in line with our average valuations. In terms of the offer structure, we propose a 60% debt and 40% cash offer. There are multiple reasons for this choice. First of all, we want to help Bioventus in order to get out of the high debt that they have. So having a cash portion will alleviate that tension. Next, we wanted to also maximize the synergy values for Stryker, and as such, we recommended a 0% equity for this deal. And last but not least, we also wanted to take advantage of that 60% debt portion in order to realize tax saving synergies as well. Our proposed approach to the target will be a tender offer. Bioventus is owned by an investor group called EW Healthcare Partners. They have been known for holding a portfolio of healthcare and medical device organizations, and most recently sold off one of their investment companies, Abiomed, to Johnson & Johnson. Based on previous acquisition transactions involving this group, tender offer has been found to be a successful approach with the investment organization. In addition to this, we believe that a friendly takeover is achievable and paramount. Bioventus has a healthy distribution of independent directors on the board in comparison to insiders. With that said, the board of directors have recently shown their commitment to shareholder interest by unseating the previous CEO due to a failed M&A deal with Carey and replaced the seat within 8 months. Knowing the current position of the organization and the interests of Stryker, we believe the board of directors of Bioventus and the managing partners of EW Healthcare will be receptive to our tender offer. And now I'll pass it on to Kate for the due diligence portion.
Absolutely. As you can see, there are certainly many aspects that we will consider in terms of due diligence and de-risking this asset. These span across compliance, manufacturing, IP, commercial, and research and regulatory. Really, we want to understand what commitments the target has made to the FDA in terms of their future pipeline and clinical studies, as there are synergies we were looking at for R&D. And we also want to understand from a commercial and payer perspective whether there are any changes in the reimbursement landscape anticipated, as this could change the overall average sales price for the various Bioventus products. This is all activities that would be performed over the next couple months with the consent and cooperation of Bioventus. Next slide. So to summarize, Kevin, we want this deal for you. We are very excited about the possibility for Stryker to acquire Bioventus. It's a great fit for your portfolio, and they clearly need the rescuing. I think Bioventus would really benefit from Stryker's strong commercial footprint, as well as the ability to restructure their debts so that they can get out of their own way. This is an opportunity for Stryker to really enable and accelerate Bioventus's growth the way that they were delivering between 2016 and 2022. We absolutely believe that 11% CAGR is achievable once again. As you saw with the valuation, this is an accretive deal that's further enhanced by synergies. And so really our next steps, we have 3. We have to meet with the Bioventus executive team, and my recommendation would be at AOSSM 2024. It's an upcoming trade show that I know Stryker and Bioventus will attend. We need to do the due diligence I mentioned to de-risk the asset. And finally, we need to outline an appropriate integration strategy with the target. I think as long as we present this to Bioventus as an opportunity to enhance and enable their value, they will be on board with being acquired by Stryker. It's very important as we approach them that we underline how special of an asset they would be for the Stryker portfolio, rather than just another rock in the stream. Thank you very much for your time, Kevin and Glenn. I'm happy to welcome any questions you have, and we can talk more next week when we meet live in person.